Hi, I'm John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy with another Global Real Estate School podcast. Welcome to the podcast. My name is John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy. This is episode 181. I know some of you are probably saying, hey, John, you sound like you may have a little bit of a head cold. Well, I'm actually feeling much better. Hence the reason we've been off the air for a few days. Had the holidays, Thanksgiving, and had a death in the family, and it's just kind of been a crazy couple of weeks. And then on top of all of that, I did get a little bit of a head cold. It's kind of funny, you know, we're in the midst of COVID-19, and we always you get a stuffy nose or something, and you think, do I have COVID? Could that be the issue? And I did not have any of the other symptoms. And my wife and I were saying, well, I guess the common cold is still around. In fact, I said to myself, I wish the common cold would come back, you know, get rid of COVID-19 and the face mask and everything. But hopefully we've learned a lot. It's been a tragic year for so many families and so many people. And, you know, you take it seriously when you do get a stuffy nose or you do get any of the types of symptoms that may come up. But fortunately, mine is just a head cold. But I've been staying in and trying to stay away from others. And today I actually feel pretty good, but my voice sounds a little different. But I knew I had to get in here and finish up with another podcast. So let's get right into what we're talking about. We last left off on talking about some of these special land types of properties that are regulated or restricted by federal, state, and sometimes even local governments. And remember, there are properties such as shorelines, floodplains, wetlands, protected habitats, and that's what we talked about on the last, we talked about on the last episode, wetlands is what we talked about. And on this episode, I want to talk about historical landmarks. And then there's also lands contaminated with hazardous waste. Historical landmarks are properties that have actually been listed in the National Register of Historic Places. And these could also be areas within a community that have been designated as historic places. And we've all seen these. We have buildings and properties around my community that are historical landmarks. And so a couple of things you need to know about those types of properties. A historical property is regulated and restricted through the federal, state, or national government. One of the things I like to teach on the pre-license course is Uncle Pete. You own your land. Nobody can tell you what to do with it except for Uncle Pete. That is Uncle Sam's brother. And those are the government things such as police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. Escheat is when you die without a will and without heirs. Your property escheats to the government. And so just understand that historical properties, if they're registered on the historical register of land or buildings, they're going to be regulated by the government. Sometimes there are tax incentives to keep that property looking historically the way it's supposed to look. And sometimes you can actually be penalized if you tear down a property through the IRS. So the IRS can actually penalize you if you tear down a historic property or a property that's on the historic registry. So you'll be able to answer these questions fine on the real estate exam. Just read them carefully and understand there are certain types of lands and properties that are regulated through the federal, state, sometimes even the local government. And historic lands or historic landmarks are one of those types of properties. Well, listen, as always, I want to thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for checking out our website. Be sure and subscribe to the podcast subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check that out. And don't forget globalrealestateschool.com or helpmepasstherealestateexam.com for more information. So thanks again for listening. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the podcast for Global Real Estate School. I'm John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy. Go out and make it a great day.